Hello, I'm Doug Anton. Thank you very much for looking at this video. I'd like to start with one of my favorite quotes from The Wizard of Oz. The Scarecrow is explaining to Dorothy about which route they should take. And he says, you know, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And this is a great segue as we start talking about ISO 9001. This is the first of a series of videos that we're doing to take companies through ISO and to get on the right road. We have 27 years of experience with ISO 9000 and its derivative related standards. We've worked with many diverse companies of all different sizes, so we bring a lot of experience to bear and can provide you with some good practices and techniques to make ISO really work for you and your company. I'll be following along our ISO 9001 Survival Guide. This is a short 80-page, very concise book available on Amazon and our website to take you through ISO. We'll also refer to the companion ISO templates. These are Word and Excel templates where much of the heavy lifting has already been done for you. They require tweaking, but nevertheless, well, prime the pump for your ISO system. So starting, what is ISO? It turns out ISO is a Greek word that means equal. And this is very significant when applied to the ISO 9001 quality system standards. The basic idea is that ISO 9001 is equal whether it's in the US, Germany, Asia, Australia. In our times of global trade, it will make things work better because it's the same system anywhere in the world. And that indeed is the mission of the International Organization for Standardization, kind of a reverse acronym of ISO. They're a nonprofit organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland with about 140 member countries, and their sole mission is to make trade easier throughout the world. And they do that by standardizing things. ISO 9001 happens to be the quality management standard. They have many standards. The key thing in ISO that really makes it different from what has come before, our current revision, is it's process focused, a term called process management, meaning that this version of ISO 2008 is intended for you to look at the processes in your company that make up your quality management system. So the idea system is singular, you have one system made up of many processes, and if you manage those processes so that they are effective and efficient, you'll have great operating results in your company. Something that you're already doing. You probably call it a little bit differently, but you're always very interested in your companies to make things run smoothly. And ISO can help do that. Getting the ISO, as I said before, this is the quality standards from International Organization of Standardizations, and it consists of 3 documents. Document 1 in the series is ISO 9000. This has guidelines, terms and definitions, and so on, vocabulary. It's not the actual requirement. ISO 9001 is the specification, is the standard that your company will be measured against. And the last one, ISO 9004, is intended for companies that have already got their initial ISO in place and are now looking to improve it, take it to the next level. So those are the 3 documents in the series. Now let's get into some of the detail and structure of ISO 9001. There's 8 paragraphs in the standard. Paragraphs 1 through 3 give you things like scope, what does it cover, references, gives you some more definitions, again, kind of explains the standard to you. But you're not required to meet paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. They're for information purposes. The requirements for your company start with paragraph 4, continue with paragraph 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let's take a look at those. Paragraph 4 starts it off with some general requirements, kind of the executive overview of what your quality system should be. Then it goes into more detail relating to documents, control of documents, and control of records. And when you think of your companies, you have many pieces of paper, electronic files, programs. These are all considered documents. And the standard wants to know how you control those, which basically means how do you initiate or approve a new one and issue it and change the documents. All of you have some type of structure like this in place. A very typical example is blueprint control. You're always very concerned, do I have the right revision of the blueprint and that no one out in the shop has the wrong version. That's how you control documents. Similarly with records, a document goes through a job, and when something is completed, the records are filed. And your filing cabinets in your company and hard drives are full of records. So those are some of the details looked at in paragraph 4. Paragraph 5 is the cornerstone of your system. This is management responsibility. You get this one right, your chances of success for your overall ISO are excellent. 3 parts to management responsibility. Part 1 is where you sit down, what specific objectives are we trying to accomplish here? And it's not always quality. It could be profitability, it could be on-time delivery, it could be lead time. So the idea is you set forth the objectives that you want from your system and processes, put objectives in place, targets, and you have metrics to measure how you're doing. Again, some of you probably have this in one form or another, and we have some good tools that can help this. The second component, now that you've identified very specifically what your objectives are, and by the way, those need to be communicated to all employees. The second piece of management responsibility then is, well, how are we organized to do that? Most companies have an org chart, you have a reporting structure in place. That's what ISO is asking. And the third and very significant area of management responsibility is management review. It requires that you, on an ongoing basis, look at the results from your system and assess, is this adequate or do we need to make improvements? And management responsibility is what really drives and keeps the system going. So there's paragraph 5, a cornerstone of the system. Now paragraph 6 talks about resource management. Now resources in the ISO world are all the things needed in your company to satisfy customers. That includes employees, buildings, lights, computers, machinery, software, all the resources needed to satisfy customers. How do you manage and ensure that those are in place? And then specifically it asks, how do you ensure that your employees have the skills that they need appropriate to their job in the company? Which again, all these sorts of things are in place. ISO just causes you to look a little tighter at it, maybe add some records. So there's paragraph 6, resource management. Now we get to paragraph 7, product realization. By the way, one of the stumbling blocks early on with ISO when you're getting used to it is semantics. There's a lot of words going on here. Process realization. All that really means is, how do you satisfy the customers? So this looks specifically at your processes all the way from your quoting or pricing, cataloging. If you're designing your own product, it would look at that. It would also look at how you purchase materials needed, then actually produce them, ship them to the customer. So that whole chain of processes are looked at in great detail in paragraph 7. And now the last paragraph is paragraph 8. This talks to how do you measure, analyze, and improve your system. And when we talk about measuring and analysis, we're not talking just about products, we're also talking about how do you measure your processes. So this is an extremely important piece of the standard because it always gives management responsibility feedback. How's our system doing? Where do we need? And what methodology do we use to get it better? So there's the paragraphs 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now to close, I'd like to thank you very much for looking at this video. And please visit our website if you need some more information. We've got lots of free stuff on there, examples of procedures, white papers, and you're also, please feel free to call us. We have a toll-free number listed on the website. If you have questions about our products or your particular situation, please contact us. And hopefully we've got you started on the right road to ISO 9000. Thank you.